Hey everyone, today I'm asking ChatGPT to rank the 10 best world leaders of all time, but it's not only about the names. ChatGPT will also explain why each leader ranked higher than the one before, so we can understand the reasoning behind the list. And also make sure that you stick around until the end to find out who AI crowns as the greatest world leader ever. Oh, and by the way, I've got an entire playlist of ChatGPT rankings, including its take on the 10 best and worst current world leaders. Those videos are already up on the channel, so don't miss them after this one. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now while you're watching, and let me know in the comments what we should rank next. Alright, let's get into the chat. Now here we are, and I'm asking ChatGPT to be clear, straightforward, unbiased, and keep its answers short and to the point. Now if you're wondering about the definition of the word best when it comes to this context, well honestly, I have no idea. I didn't want to limit it to just Democratic leaders or anything specific because I wanted to keep it totally unbiased. The only thing I do ask is it to leave out ancient leaders. I mean, let's be honest. Wouldn't it feel kind of weird to see Julius Caesar ranked next to, say, Barack Obama? So yeah, no ancient world leaders today. Alright, let's get started, and here's number 10. 10th place, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk earns the 10th spot for pulling Turkey from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire and turning it into a modern secular state. His reforms were bold and groundbreaking. He abolished the Islamic Caliphate, banned religious courts, and replaced Arabic script with the Latin alphabet to improve literacy. Ataturk didn't just modernize laws, he reshaped culture. Traditional Ottoman attire was replaced with Western-style clothing, and women were granted equal rights to vote and hold office, unheard of in the region at the time. His slogan was clear: peace at home, peace in the world. Yet Ataturk's methods were uncompromising. He suppressed opposition, banned certain cultural practices, and his reforms alienated conservative groups. While Turkey flourished economically and socially under his vision, his authoritarian approach remains controversial. Why 10th place? Ataturk transformed Turkey with unmatched ambition, but his rigid enforcement of change and cultural suppression keep him from ranking higher. Leaders above him balanced progress with broader inclusivity and global impact. Alright, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk takes the 10th spot for reshaping Turkish culture. Great choice! Now let's see who's coming in at number 9. 9th place, Theodore Roosevelt, United States. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, revolutionized the role of leadership in a rapidly changing world. Known for his boundless energy and speak softly but carry a big stick philosophy, Roosevelt was a champion of progressive reform and environmental conservation. He broke up monopolies to protect small businesses, introduced consumer protection laws, and advocated for workers' rights at a time when industrial giants dominated the economy. Roosevelt was also America's first great conservationist president, establishing national parks, monuments, and wildlife refuges to protect the country's natural resources for future generations. Internationally, his leadership elevated the U.S. as a global power, exemplified by his role in negotiating the end of the Russo-Japanese War, for which he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Why 9th place? Roosevelt ranks higher than Ataturk because his leadership not only transformed America domestically, but also positioned it as a respected global power. Unlike Ataturk's rigid enforcement, Roosevelt's reforms achieved lasting change while maintaining popular support and a balance of democratic principles. Okay, got it. Theodore Roosevelt lands in the 9th spot. And by the way, we've actually talked about him before in one of the previous videos where ChatGPT ranked the 10 best US presidents of all time. And if you haven't seen that yet, just a heads up, it's already on the channel, so feel free to check it out anytime. Alright, Teddy Roosevelt, 9th place. Now let's see who's taking the 8th spot. 8th place, Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, the founding Prime Minister of Singapore, earns the 8th spot for transforming a small, resource-poor island into one of the world's most prosperous nations. When Singapore gained independence in 1965, it faced poverty, high unemployment, and ethnic tensions. Lee's vision was clear: economic growth, strict governance, and national unity. He implemented policies that prioritized education, attracted foreign investment, and created a clean, efficient government. Under his leadership, Singapore became a global hub for trade, finance, and technology. However, Lee was also known for his firm control. Freedom of speech and political opposition were tightly restricted, and critics faced tough consequences. Why 8th place? Lee Kuan Yew ranks above Theodore Roosevelt because his leadership turned Singapore into an economic powerhouse in a single generation, a feat unmatched in scale and speed. However, his authoritarian style keeps him below leaders who achieve progress alongside greater personal freedoms. Oh, and by the way, did you know that chewing gum was banned under his leadership? Well, anyway, he seems like a great man. Alright, let's move on to number 7. 7th place, Queen Elizabeth I, England. Queen Elizabeth I claims the 7th spot for guiding England from instability to prominence during one of its most defining eras. She inherited a nation divided by religion, weakened by war, and surrounded by powerful rivals. Yet through shrewd diplomacy and strong leadership, she brought unity and stability. Her greatest triumph was defeating the Spanish Armada in 1588, a victory that cemented England's status as a rising naval power and changed the course of European history. Elizabeth also presided over a cultural golden age, with icons like William Shakespeare and Francis Drake leaving a legacy of art, exploration, and national pride. Her refusal to marry wasn't indecision, it was strategic. She kept power firmly in her hands, ensuring no foreign influence compromised England's sovereignty. Why 7th place? Elizabeth I ranks above Lee Kuan Yew because her leadership not only stabilized a fractured nation, but also paved the way for England's global influence. Her reign shaped history far beyond her borders, combining resilience, strategy, and vision in a way few could match. Refusing to marry? That was an extremely unusual decision for the time, but honestly, it was a brilliant move, and it's what secures Elizabeth I in the 7th spot. Alright, let's see who's at number 6. 6th place, Abraham Lincoln, United States. Abraham Lincoln earns the 6th spot for holding the U.S. together during its darkest hour, the Civil War. He preserved the Union, abolished slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation, and redefined America's values. His leadership, marked by clarity and resilience, guided the nation through unimaginable loss, while his speeches, like the Gettysburg Address, reminded Americans what they were fighting for: freedom and unity. But Lincoln wasn't without flaws. He controversially suspended habeas corpus, a legal right that protects people from being jailed without a trial. This meant individuals could be arrested and held without court oversight if they were suspected of aiding the rebellion. Lincoln argued it was necessary to stop the Union from collapsing, but many see it as a dangerous overreach of power. Why 6th place? Lincoln edges out Elizabeth I because he didn't just lead a nation, he saved it. While Elizabeth's leadership paved the way for England's rise, Lincoln's decisions shaped the very soul of a nation and inspired movements for equality that still resonate today. Alright, Abraham Lincoln takes the 6th spot. But there are still 5 other leaders who rank even higher than him, so let's see who made it into the top 5. 5th place, Franklin D. Roosevelt, United States. Franklin D. Roosevelt takes the 5th spot for his unparalleled leadership during 2 of the most critical crises in modern history: the Great Depression and World War II. When he became president in 1933, the U.S. was in economic freefall, with unemployment at 25%. Through his New Deal, FDR launched programs to create jobs, reform financial systems, and provide relief to millions of struggling Americans. He restored faith in government and the economy, giving the country hope when it needed it most. Roosevelt's leadership extended beyond the U.S. during World War II. He worked tirelessly to unite the Allies and lay the groundwork for victory. His vision for global cooperation eventually led to the creation of the United Nations. Why 5th place? FDR outranks Lincoln because his leadership wasn't just about saving a country, it was about reshaping the global order. While Lincoln saved a nation, Roosevelt's actions changed the course of the 20th century, ensuring freedom and stability on a global scale. Great! ChatGPT placed FDR at number 5. Now it's really interesting to see who ranks above both Lincoln and FDR, so let's find out now. 4th place, Winston Churchill, United Kingdom. Winston Churchill lands in 4th place for his extraordinary leadership during World War II, a time when Britain's survival hung by a thread. As Prime Minister, Churchill rallied a nation under relentless attack by Nazi Germany, delivering powerful speeches that inspired resilience. "We shall never surrender" became a call to arms for freedom. Churchill's strategic foresight and alliances with leaders like Roosevelt and Stalin were critical to the Allied victory. His ability to stand firm against overwhelming odds earned him a reputation as one of the world's greatest wartime leaders. Beyond the war, Churchill also warned of the dangers of Soviet expansion, coining the term Iron Curtain, which shaped Western policy during the Cold War. Why 4th place? Churchill outranks FDR because of his singular role in holding the line during World War II's darkest moments. While FDR was vital, Churchill's leadership was the glue that kept the Allied effort alive when all seemed lost. His impact was more personal, direct, and immediate. Good. Winston Churchill takes his well-deserved 4th place for his leadership during the Second World War. But now, since you don't know who's in the top 3 just yet, jump into the comments and leave your guess. Go ahead, you've got a little bit of time while I remind you to hit the like button if you're enjoying the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now while you're watching, because it really helps me out and it makes this video reach even more people. Thanks a lot for your support, and now let's move on to the top 3 best world leaders of all time. Alright, let's see who gets in at number 3, and here's the answer. 3rd place, Mahatma Gandhi, India. Mahatma Gandhi secures the 3rd spot for leading India's struggle for independence in a way that transformed how the world viewed resistance. Under British colonial rule, India was divided by religion, caste, and regional differences. Gandhi's leadership brought these groups together through a shared vision of freedom, guided by the principles of nonviolence and truth. One of his most iconic acts was the Salt March in 1930. He led a 240-mile walk to protest the British salt tax, encouraging Indians to make their own salt in defiance of colonial law. This wasn't just a protest, it became a nationwide movement that drew international attention. Gandhi's leadership turned simple, everyday actions into powerful symbols of resistance, showing that even the smallest acts of defiance could challenge an empire. Gandhi's influence extended far beyond India. His philosophy of ahimsa, nonviolence, inspired global leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela, proving that peaceful resistance could defeat even the most powerful oppressors. Why 3rd place? Gandhi ranks higher than Churchill because his leadership wasn't confined to a single country or war. His philosophy redefined the fight for freedom and justice, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire movements worldwide. Great! And did you know, by the way, that he even wrote letters to Hitler telling him to avoid war? And we all know how that turned out, so I guess that's what happens when you don't listen to Gandhi. Alright, let's move on to number 2. 2nd place, George Washington, United States. George Washington earns the 2nd spot for his pivotal role in founding the United States and shaping the modern idea of democratic leadership. As the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, he led an outmatched force to victory against the British, securing American independence in the Revolutionary War. His strategic patience and ability to inspire loyalty were key to overcoming overwhelming odds. Washington's impact didn't end on the battlefield. As the first president of the United States, he set the standard for future leaders, refusing to claim excessive power and voluntarily stepping down after 2 terms, an act that established a tradition of peaceful transitions in government. He united a fragile young nation by navigating political divisions and creating the foundations of the U.S. Constitution and federal government. However, Washington's legacy isn't without complexity. He owned enslaved people, a contradiction to the values of liberty he championed, though he made provisions to free them after his death. Why 2nd place? Washington outranks Gandhi because his leadership wasn't just about winning independence. It was about creating a system of government that changed the course of history. His decisions shaped democracy as we know it, making him one of the most influential leaders of all time. Well, alright, George Washington takes second place. And now, without waiting any longer, let's find out who's at the very top of the list of the best world leaders of all time. And here's the name. First place, Nelson Mandela, South Africa. Nelson Mandela takes the first spot for his extraordinary leadership in dismantling apartheid and uniting South Africa, a nation on the brink of chaos. After spending 27 years in prison for opposing apartheid, Mandela emerged not with anger, but with a vision to rebuild his country. His ability to forgive those who oppressed him wasn't just remarkable, it was revolutionary. Mandela understood that South Africa's survival depended on reconciliation, not revenge, and he led with that principle. As the country's first black president, Mandela oversaw the peaceful transition from an apartheid state to a democracy. One of his most powerful initiatives was the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which exposed the atrocities of apartheid while fostering healing instead of retaliation. He also worked to bridge the economic gap between races, though this challenge remains unfinished. Mandela's leadership surpasses both Washington and Gandhi for its unparalleled moral strength and immediate impact. Washington's achievements were monumental, but he was uniting colonies against an external oppressor. Mandela faced a much harder task, uniting a nation divided within itself, with deep racial hatred and inequality simmering beneath the surface. Unlike Gandhi, who inspired India's freedom but didn't live to see it, Mandela directly led South Africa's transformation, taking on the immense burden of governing and healing simultaneously. Why first place? Mandela is ranked above all others because his leadership wasn't just about political change, it was about moral clarity and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. He transformed a country scarred by hatred into one striving for equality, inspiring the world with his message of forgiveness and unity. Mandela's ability to lead with both strength and compassion sets him apart as the greatest leader of modern history. And that's it. Nelson Mandela is named the best world leader by ChatGPT. Now, I have a question for you. Do you agree with this list and the order that it came in? Let me know in the comments who you would put in the top spot if it's not Mandela. And after that, click right here to check out the full playlist of AI rankings, because I'm pretty sure you're going to find something interesting there. Thanks for watching. Click on that pop-up, and I'll see you over there in just a moment.